you asked, is welfare $1,200 in pension? I don't know what welfare is. I do know CPP is hot garbage. It's barely anything.
So that's what I've never really fully understood is that, like, so my mom, who did, by the way, work at one point. My mom worked at, which of the car plants? GM? I think she worked at GM for a bit. And then she worked at a place called Best Tackle. My mom really was Roseanne Barr.
Okay.
like I have such a affinity for Roseanne Barr because of like how much that show made me think of my own life. Like with my mom. Yeah, my mom was a scumbag. Yeah, she worked at a Best Tackle for a bit. It was a place called RP Shear she worked at that they just like pressed pills.
Oh, okay.
Like my mom did like assembly, like you know, like
she's the Tylenol murderer.
Like something along, you know, like she next would have been a deli, but she was hospitalized for depression and never had to work anymore.
Yeah.
So like my mom's checks definitely at least partially came from like SADS's like government assisted SAD. But I was just like, yeah, you pay in the CPP as much, but if you're just old and you don't have that, don't they just give you a check anyways? Like, can't you just go, I don't work and I'm whatever, and like, isn't that pretty automatically ODSB if you're just old and poor? Like,
I don't know about that, but I feel like it would be just as good off. There is a scam. CPP is almost. It's not a scam in the sense that you do pay into it and they give you the money back when you retire. In that sense, to be fair, it is what it is. Where it's a scam, and I learned this from when my mother-in-law passed away, you pay into, let's pretend you pay into CPP.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you think happens? We'll do the different scenarios. When you retire, you get it, right? Now you have, let's say you and Kennedy get married. If you pay into CPP and then you die, who do you think gets your CPP money?
I assume she gets it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But let's say you never married Kennedy, but you guys did have a kid together. Now he's a wonderful, strapping 20-something-year-old man.
Sure. Over the age of 18, I assume.
Over the age of 18. And you die. Who gets your CPP money? Your Kennedy, your unmarried wife, or your over 18-year-old son?
They say next of kin, which I guess would then be your kid. I'm assuming the way you're trying to lean us, this is going to be the kid.
Nobody gets it.
It's a tie goes to the government? I don't understand.
They keep it.
So what would be the justification for that?
I don't know. I'll tell you something. Is my fiance's mom died, and they kept the money. They gave her a small allotment.
Okay.
It was, I forget what
I guess I also didn't know they give you your CV. I thought that was sort of just a gamble we took. That was like, hey, you pay into it, and if you then like, sorry.
No. How it should work is like you work for a company that has its own pension or whatever. Like my mom, for example, she worked for VIA for her whole career. Very good pension. She gets that pension. She does get a small CPP check monthly as well.
Okay.
And those two together, she's good.
Yeah. Is there an amount of money that conflicts with CPP? Like if you're still just doing old, so say your father.
Yeah.
Who say he was going to get CPP benefits. By the way, for the American listeners, Canadian pension plan.
Yeah. Your government pension, they have it too.
Different, whatever. Is that the 401k? Is that what theirs? What is a 401k?
No, that is a. I think that would be their version of like RRSP or something like that. Like
okay.
Your company, yeah.
So, I always just assumed he died. It went away, but that's so. That it almost seemed like if you, it seemed like insurance in a way to me in my head.
Yeah.
Where it was like, you pay insurance every month, but if you don't use it,
you get, like I'm assuming my dad gets CPP as well, but it's pennies. It means nothing.
But if he has saved up enough income for his own pension, will that conflict with the CPP? Like if you're
No.
okay, so you
No,
can
it's
just,
yours. It's like right now I work a day job because I'm waiting for Rob Loves Arguing to blow up, and I get my whatever cut makes sense when we wink have that conversation. I just want to be Jamie. I just want to be Jamie. That's all.
fine.
As long as I'm Jamie.
Hey, I hope you make hundreds of thousands of dollars because that means I made something then.
Unless we find out Rogan is a fucking piece of shit.
It would be
and
really
Jamie-
fun. Yeah. I mean, he did get rid of Red Band. Maybe Red
Sure.
Band was too expensive. He was too retarded. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I think it was that Jamie was infinitely better than Red Band is at that job.
He gets a lot of compliments even from the guests.
Jamie, he
Yeah.
should. He's unbelievable. I mean, it's like how many podcasts have the bit be, oh, my producer's not as good as Jamie.
Yeah.
It's kind of a hack producer like thing to even do at this point because it's Jamie's so well recognized. He's Jamie.
He's Jamie.
Like that's how recognized is that he is Jamie.
That is funny. He is recognized as the greatest podcast producer of our current time. And we all in our heads, we haven't said it out loud. No one's ever had this conversation, but he might go down as the Jordan of podcast producing.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Studio included, since we're in what is still the beginning stages of the new Rob Loves Arguing Studios. I put together your perfect podcast. 2 hosts, let's be honest. For the most, you need 2 hosts, producer, which I think we know the answer to, and the studio, a currently existing podcast studio that you think is the best podcast studio.
Oh, looks. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
So the producer right off the bat, I think we're both going Jamie.
Jamie. Yeah. But they usually he's the only one that only has just one. Like, I'm sure he has some, like, people that help set up, an engineer of some sort.
Oh, absolutely. There's
But-
other people. There's Marines there.
So I would say at least 2. Most podcasts have, like, a whatever. So if it's Jamie, I would go with, I hear very good things about, do you know Homeless Pimp? Have you heard about him?
I've heard the name, but I don't fully understand what he does.
So
but-
he's a podcast producer.
Okay.
I never got the full story
He's
of what
Norton's?
happened. He was he's Norton's now. He used to be Taste Buds with DeRosa and Sal.
Okay.
Your acquaintances, friends, whatever. I don't know where
sure.
that relationship is, but he was with them, and then even at the height of Taste Buds, he left, and then he went to somewhere else, and he's Norton's. But he seems very good.
Regarded, okay.
Yeah, so I'm going with Homeless Pimp, but there's probably another.
Okay.
Maybe like a Bad Friends producer or something.
And then studio, I'm just going to say Flagrance. I was very frustrated with Schultz when he revealed that studio.
Oh, yeah.
Flagrant Studio is incredible. It's just like, how the fuck are any of us? I mean, this is a beautiful Rookwood terracotta, but like, I got to go to a restore and find trim.
True.
You know?
You know what's funny? For a second, I thought you would then go back to, like everybody talks about Rogan's studio. When I watch his it's too busy.
Yeah, and also it's like, that's not what I would want.
Yeah,
For
aesthetically.
yeah. There's something just Flagrant feels, because stand-up, you would hate that room. Now, I know it's weird to say doing stand-up in a podcast room, but like, there's just something very comfortable about that space. They use depth very well, because like, that's what you really want ultimately. Like, that will be somewhat of a shortcoming in this space.
Yeah.
Is the limited depth that we have to use. But like, having that much stuff set further back or whatever is very like visually pleasing, and it, like, I think makes it a little easier to film as well, because it gives it like, you can focus but then have kind of the back. I don't know. I don't understand these things well, but that's kind of what I get is the depth helps. But okay, so what's your studio?
I'm actually, and this will be a good argument for, I'm not being biased to podcasts I like.
Okay.
I always was partial to the simplicity of Fighter and the Kid.
Just a couple chairs.
Couple of chairs. There's the symbol in the middle. A little place for them to put. Same reason why I also like Whiskey Ginger with Santino.
You know what? I'm going to take it away from Flagrant. They have enough. Let's give it to the man who actually deserves. There's nobody who puts more of what they make back into their product. Flagrant makes a ass load of money
Yeah.
to be able to have that studio. Red Bar deserves the shine.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a beautiful studio. You know what I love is he'll. So I don't think Todd originally probably wanted this to be known, but Todd Glass is like a Red Bar fan.
Oh, okay.
And I've talked to Todd about this, and one of the reasons being where he's like, the studio embarrasses everybody.
Yeah.
He's like, everybody's got all this goddamn fucking money, and for some reason, this guy Red Bar that no one heard of has this studio in his house.
Yeah.
You know, so Red Bar deserves his flowers. And honestly, okay, so pick your two hosts.
Alive? I personally think we should do Alive because it's like, okay,
Sure,
Carlin
you
and
can-
Pryor, sure. You know what I mean? Whatever.
I'd fucking hate that. First of all, I like
That's a terrible
That's a
podcast.
fucking horrible podcast. Fucking listening to Carlin in the train when boarding and deboarding. I'd fucking kill myself. It's Carlin. I'm sure Pryor would probably be a fine podcaster, honestly. Just because, like,
I
he's a
think he's a
conflict
guest.
and he's...
I know, but I think he's a guest.
Yeah, I'm not picking either one of them, but Carlin would be insufferable on a podcast. I couldn't listen to Carlin. It'd be like listening to fucking Seinfeld on a podcast. It's too mechanical.
I think. Oh, maybe we should add this is best guest to the podcast.
Sure,
Perfect.
great. Absolutely.
Because
I like that
I was
as
just
well.
thinking this is like my favorite comedian of all time, inarguably, it just is Patrice, right? I'm sure people would think that's fraudulent or whatever, but he is. He's
Whatever, that's-
based on his actual stand-up
Yeah,
and his
yeah.
appearances on Opie and Anthony. I love him. If he was alive right now, I don't think he would have my favorite podcast.
I don't either. There's certain people. So I'll tell you exactly why, and people will think I'm being partial to my friend or somebody I do stuff with regularly. Louis J. Gomez, if you have two people on a podcast, has to be one of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's a conflict engine. He gets how it works. Podcasting is radio, and you need a guy who like functions in a particular way for things to work. And like Louis has proven that he is that across too many different forms. Skanks, the Regs, Story Wars, even his own podcast. So he can be the lead of his own podcast. He can be a duo on Story Wars. He can be part of an ensemble on Legion of Skanks. He can be a part of an ensemble on Regs and be fine and like work in all of those situations. I think I got to pick Lewis.
Interesting. You get two, right?
You get
Is it
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know my two,
Okay.
and it's a cheat. You know what my favorite podcast of all time was? It doesn't exist anymore. Do you know Uninformed?
I feel like I remember there being something called, I don't know if it was DeRosa?
It's DeRosa and Bill Burr. That's my
Okay.
favorite podcast ever.
All right.
Those are my two picks. Now, Bill Burr I don't think would ever try doing a podcast with somebody else ever again.
What would be the, he
What-
can do it in his pajamas at home.
Exactly.
and- yeah.
Yeah. But technically, I think he's a great podcaster, and I think Joe DeRosa argues with a fucking rock.
Yeah.
Like, he argues with everybody. So
Yeah. Okay.
now
So-
I don't think their guests would enjoy their time because they just argued all. They had a guest a couple times, and they just argued the whole time.
So, okay, I'm trying to go through the biggest because I don't want to, like, miss on the other person to be, like, it's obviously not Rogan.
Yeah. No.
It's obviously not Marin.
Not with Lewis. No.
I'd keep Norton in my pocket because Norton's one of the sharpest, quickest people that there's ever been in radio. I don't know exactly how the chemistry, but it might be good. They'd probably fight, but that's
Yeah.
not a bad thing.
That's actually, I forgot. Yeah. I might go Norton otherwise. Yeah.
The only other person that's coming to mind, because obviously Gillis would be good, but Gillis and Lewis on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
I don't know that Gillis, no matter how big Gillis is too respectful of, like, in a way, senior. Not that he won't bust Lewis's balls, but I don't think that he could get into an actual standoff with Lewis if it needed to be. Like, not that the podcast should be about fighting each other.
No.
But
Ours sure isn't. Yeah.
yeah, Cumia maybe. Can't be Schultz because it's just too. Schultz needs a guy on his side. He doesn't want to have Lewis being whatever. It's not the right. Jim Jeffries was a great podcaster once upon a time. Talking Shit with Jim Jeffries and Eddie Ifft was a great podcast. Poor Eddie Ifft, man. Has anyone ever just been left for dead? And the fucking who is the most Left for Dead podcast co-host?
That's a good question. I know there's one that's.
Why is it Christina P?
Just
literally being Left for Dead.
You know what though? I would actually. That would be a Rob Love argument. I would argue that. I think she's about to hit thriving time for her.
You think this is? You think the lid's been? Now here's the concern. How old are their kids?
I've had to guess they're in their young teenage years. I'm not sure though.
Because the problem will come in is who's going to have to watch them. Because like this is something that people don't think about getting into a stand-up relationship.
Yeah.
Now these are obviously lower level stand-up comedians, but in the success meter. But I've been pretty close to Voss and Bonnie in my life.
Yeah.
And they can't be on the road conflicting with each other. You know, like they got a Raina to take care of.
Yeah.
So like,
not anymore. I think she's old now, but yeah.
Raina says she's still like Raina's. I think maybe getting to 18. But
well,
like,
that's right. Yeah, but to be honest, if you have. Like,
I guess you could leave an 18-year-old and then whatever. Yeah,
honestly,
fair enough. Yeah,
past 16, as long as you
you're probably
unless you
right
have the Rob of kids who is getting up to nonsense at a young age.
Even then, what are you going to do? Even if you're home, you're going to still find out how to do that shit anyways. So, I mean, maybe keep a little bit of lid on it. Honestly, if my parents had just bothered having someone drive by the house occasionally, like that's all it really would have ultimately taken to figure out what was going on. So, Lewis. So you got Soder, Norton, and Cumia. It's hard to say Cumia. Just
I think he's just so. I still have fondness for him.
Oh, me too.
But I think he's just down.
Brought him into the top 3 people to do a podcast. But isn't it crazy to think about like the biggest comics? Like I love Louis C.K. Louis C.K. is probably I think like Chris Rock is my favorite in the sense of like when I was a kid and why I got into this and like Norm I love but not the right person. Norm for a podcast, even as a podcast guest, really not the correct thing. The talk show format thing that he did worked, but like all the biggest. Oh well, I guess.
I mean,
well, all right. Well, I guess I kind of have my. Never mind. I have my answer.
Is it Big J?
No, it's just Tim.
Just Lewis
and Tim Dillon.
Oh, Tim. I thought you said no. It's just him.
Just Lewis with Jamie for some reason. Just Lewis with Jamie looking. Just Lewis screaming into the void, having Jamie look things up and going, "Isn't that fucking crazy?"
You hear it now, Lewis. If you ever listen to this, try to steal Jamie away from Rogan somehow.
Well, it is crazy. It shows you the ineptitude of the business that Bastard Radio didn't get picked up by SiriusXM. Bastard Radio was Tim, Lewis, and Nick Mullen. That might be the best, strongest combination of podcasting history. And SiriusXM declined because they're just idiotic. Like, I mean, like, imagine those 3 with Jamie.
You know what's funny is SiriusXM is essentially a podcasting company now, right?
Yeah.
Like...
Well, and
satellite part
like
is
Bruce
like,
Springsteen radio and whatever.
Yeah. But the satellite part is just the whole like, who the fuck is thinking I need satellite radio? Most people they have right when I left SiriusXM because I used to pay for it for Opie and Anthony, but they were into the app and really it just became internet radio because everybody's using their app. If I'm in my car, Bluetooth, data.
Yeah.
So, like, how is it not dead yet? That's what I'm wondering. And I love Bonfire.
Like, there's I will say something. We occasionally use it when we take Kennedy's dad has a truck that, like, if we need to move something or whatever, we've borrowed on occasion to go grab stuff.
Sure.
And he's got XM in it.
Okay.
And there is something refreshing when you don't have it, I will say, to then using it. Now, I think if I had it, I end up never using it. And just doing exactly what you're saying, playing Spotify or Apple Music. But when you don't have it, it is nice because like every so often you'll just remember, like they'll curate something and you'll be like, oh yeah, Soul Asylum fucking, you know?
I guess. Like I remember I think I talked about this once, but my cousin once we got into a big argument, like mad at each other because Netflix was like really just hitting. It's like, okay, everybody should just have Netflix. I remember it was like that feeling. That's it. Netflix for everyone. And I tried to convince my cousin to like, because I would go to his house and he's watching Rogers cable, and I'm like, why are you like just play what you want to watch on Netflix? And we got into an angry argument about it, and he's like, no, I like the feeling of you turn on the TV and you search for something and you go, oh.
I don't think he's wrong. Like, I think that we are in the paradox of choice or the prison of choice or whatever. Like, I almost never turn on one of those subscriptions, and unless I'm specifically looking for something and I've gone, okay, that's what this
Everybody's
is on.
talking about this. Yeah.
Or even just I haven't watched Idle Hands in a long time.
I see. Yeah.
What is Idle Hands on? And you have to have all of them so in case you want to catch a movie. Try to watch Airheads.
I own it on DVD.
You own Airheads on DVD?
Yeah.
Hang on to that.
Yeah. I think I got rid of the case. I put all my DVDs into like a...
That's bad shit. That's a mental illness. Like, I don't, or maybe I have the mental illness and that I'm like, I want the cover of it. But
I kept them for a long time, and then I moved into an apartment, and I couldn't imagine convincing my girl to like...
What a systematic thing they managed to do to us. They move us into increasingly smaller and smaller places and then make us get rid of our physical media and art until all of that's gone. Like, it is fascinating because I go to a Salvation Army and look for tapes and CDs and things that I like want.
Yeah.
Like, I want to naturally come across a version of Limp Bizkit's Significant Other. You know, or a $3 bill, y'all. Like, I want to go to a Value Village and go, fuck yeah. You know, I could go to Sonic Boom right now and go, oh, there they are. And it's not like they cost exorbitant amount. Like, CDs still haven't like crested like that. They're getting up a little bit because people just want to have this stuff again, because people kind of do hate that feeling of like endless choices mean no choices at all. I almost never finish something that I just, because in the back of your mind the entire time, you know there's something else. Yeah. It's like it's what's hurt dating in our generation, because like dating is very difficult because you do know that there is this fucking thing right there that like whatever, it's poisoned a lot of people's relationships, that like you can just whatever, and you're doing the same thing to yourself with your art. You used to just commit to a movie, go even further beyond. I used to go to Penny's Movie Time, our little local. He also sponsored my t-ball team, but he was our like local little movie guy. And like, you pick something up and you were committed to that shit. And it's fun to hate a movie. Like sometimes hating a movie fucking rules. But now like we started watching, there's like, I don't know how many Insidiouses there are at this point, but we watched one, we started one, something about the keys.
I think they're at 6.
And it's just the old lady now. Like, it's just like the lady who comes, it's just her.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch this one. I haven't watched it.
And it's continuity errors all over the fucking place. Like, it's fucking bad.
It's really hard to maintain continuity
like,
the second you pass 4.
Yeah, like they just gave the fuck up. But we stopped. And we were just tired or whatever, ultimately. Like, maybe if we had rented it, ultimately, we would have come to the same conclusion. Yeah. But, like, I remember being in 8th grade. My friends Adam Delisle and Kyle Lozon, we would go to the Rogers Video by us, and we'd rent things. So they would give us free rentals because we'd put their returns back for them. And, like, that was probably half the fucking job. So they were like, oh, cool. Here's my... They get a free rental a day. They're like, yeah, take my rental. And so what we do is we started doing our own video commentary. We would set up a video camera and record us watching something and then do commentary over it. And they started letting us like play the audio commentary. They would like in the Rogers Video play our little like audio commentaries of movies and shit. It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And like I guess it was early podcasting in a weird way, but we never just sit down and commit to a bit like that now.
Yeah.
Like, you just go, why am I watching this? This stinks. Whereas it used to be kind of fun. I sat through the entire happening The Happening might be one of the funniest,
great.
poorly acted films in the history of film. It kept you there because you were like, I don't know, they're going to start throwing themselves off buildings. That looks sick as fuck. Like,
I'm convinced that the M. Night Shyamalan, as much as he made some bad movies, he made The Happening specifically only to laugh when he gave Mark Wahlberg intelligent lines.
It's well,
and then
like,
he told Michael Bay, and Michael Bay's like, okay, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it too. And he made the Transformers movie where he had Mark Wahlberg play a scientist for some
he's
reason.
a scientist in that, is he?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I didn't.
And
I
like
assumed
in the 4th or 5th one.
I assumed he was like a mechanic that was working on a car that turned into a man.
He's an engineer.
Okay.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, The Happening. Like, I feel bad for him because I feel like that's one of those cases where had the studios just really let him promote it probably the way that he would have. I don't know that that's how he wanted to promote that movie.
Right.
You know, like, but they got to sell the movie. So if it's better to sell a movie that's like, they're all going to jump off the fucking thing, it's like, that's probably the way you sell the movie ultimately.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I feel kind of bad for him on that. M. Night Shyamalan ruled. He really, like, took too much abuse for his, like, we got it, there's a twist. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a movie.
It's great.
There's
Most of them
supposed to be a twist. Like, what else are we all watching Titanic? We know the boat's going to sink. Like, a twist is fun. It's nice.
I wish we could argue about this so that you had the opposite. I think M. Night Shyamalan is I don't want to say underrated, because it's not that I think, it's beautiful pieces of art, but every time I've watched an M. Night Shyamalan movie, sure, maybe I was a little upset with the twist ending. Maybe I was like, whatever. But, like, you know what movie gets a lot of, like, make fun of hate? The Village.
Sure.
I enjoyed The Village.
And I will say, I guess the ending I'm one of those people that halfway through The Village I went, and I was really into movies at that time. And I remember halfway through The Village going, oh, they're just in, like, the regular world and they're whatever. Like, I guess
they're the Amish.
Pretty quickly, like, what was going on in it. But it's like, I also know what's going to happen in wrestling. I also know what's, like, people get so caught up in, like, oh, I get, you're like, but that's not the whole point. Like, I think Christopher Nolan went, and I haven't seen The Odyssey, but I think Christopher Nolan went too far in the other direction, where Christopher Nolan, by the time Tenet came out, he was just kind of daring us to understand what the fuck's even going on. Like, Tenet seemed like a stress test, where it was like, how can I make this movie so purposefully frustrating and complicated that, like, I'll dare you to continue watching it. I would love to know the runtime on Tenet on a streaming service. There's a movie that on a streaming service would make people go, fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm not dealing with all that. I'm at home.
So this is where I'll disagree with you with the. I don't disagree with your actual point of thing, but I just think it's a person's character. I've done it. I did it the other night. I started watching like 3 movies and I moved on. So I've done it, but because of streaming services, and I will give. Hopefully they send me money one day. Amazon Prime, because I own that, they have so much movies. Amazon Prime's, a lot of their catalog, you don't realize, is like the movies in that weird section of Blockbuster or Rogers Video where you would see stuff and you're like, oh, what is this? And you're renting weird stuff. They have stuff I've never seen. They have stuff that used to be a popular movie for like 2 years and then wasn't famous since. What's that movie where I watched recently and I enjoyed the whole thing? It's like it's a teacher, and it almost seems like it's going to be a Dangerous Minds type movie or whatever, but it's actually like an undercover cop he's an army guy who like goes to like fuck up the gangs and stuff like that, because
I thought you were describing John Lovitz's High School High for a moment.
Oh, which one of my favorite movies, and I almost guarantee is on Amazon Prime.
I would love to go do a John Lovitz deep dive on things. I just love that he was the one that actually just kicked fucking Andy Dick's ass for killing Phil Hartman. I was trying to explain Andy Dick to Kennedy this week, so we did a little that's review on Andy Dick. Yeah, because it's just like, that's a person who still exists, you know. Yeah,
but also if you weren't age-wise around for him,
no reason
it's hard
to
explain him.
Yeah, like what was he famous for? I don't know. He was just in stuff.
He was in stuff,
you know, like.
And then they'll see him and they're like, "Is he gay?" And you go, "Sort of."
But he'll also grope Pamela Anderson
Yeah,
for
yeah,
like
yeah,
5 straight minutes and pretend it's a bit.
It's one of the most confusing.
And now just a full crackhead.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
One of the funniest Andy Dick quotes. They're talking. So there was like a video of him slumped over with this crackhead in the streets. And he goes to do like this interview afterwards, explaining what happened. He was like, "Listen, I was sitting there and I felt bad for this guy, and I was talking to him about his kids." Remember, he goes to someone else. He's like, "Remember, he has kids? I don't remember. You remember that part of the story? Probably just because he's just lying. There was no kids.
Yeah.
But he's like, remember, he has kids or whatever." And he says to me, "Do you want to smoke some crack with me?" And I felt so bad for the guy that, and also I do crack sometimes. It was just fun for him to be like, I felt so bad for the guy. And also sometimes I do crack.
Yeah, as like an aside.
As an aside, like of just like he wanted to defend himself, but then he was also like, "Oh, people might be watching this that will do crack with me. I better make sure everyone knows I'll also do crack."
Yeah. The movie, by the way, is The Substitute. They made about 5. Wow. I only watched the first 2, starring Tom Berenger. Great. And I discovered it because of Amazon Prime. The problem you're describing is a problem with character, not the what's going on. And I will sit there and watch weird fucking movies on Amazon Prime and watch them from start to finish and enjoy it. The problem you're describing is a problem with society, I guess, not the technology.
Spans, but but there is something if there wasn't the nagging, like, because if I put a DVD in, I will just watch it to the end. You know?
Yeah, I get that, but like I said, it's because it's making it. It's not the people's choice. Whereas someone like myself, and I'll aggrandize, whatever. I'll make myself seem amazing.
Sure.
I just have the personality where I've been given a gift, which is Amazon Prime. Shout out Amazon Prime. And I've taken full advantage of watching C-list movies on it.
Well,
start to finish.
And the thing about Amazon Prime is that I believe also that you can kind of just put things on Amazon Prime, I believe, and then you're just sort of compensated for like runtime ultimately. Like there are some dog shit stand-ups that'll have specials on Amazon Prime and they're for sure just putting it up. Like there are local comedians that have put their things on Amazon Prime and then they can go around going like on Amazon Prime. Like if I was like a big comic, that's the last place I would want it.
Amazon Prime?
Yeah. I don't want
Tubi, maybe.
I would prefer Tubi. I love Tubi.
I was actually going to switch to also saying
Mark Norman just put Out to Lunch on Tubi.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tubi, I love Tubi.
Tubi's owned by Fox. Like Tubi is a bigger operation than people realize.
Yeah.
Fox is just a forward-thinking company. They might hate immigrants and gays, but man, I saw Guns N' Roses last night.
Yeah.
And so I was playing Once in a Million or One in a Million for Kennedy. There's a fun song if you've never heard it before.
And I actually know a lot. Like everybody knows Guns N' Roses catalog.
It's Axl. It's why Elton John had to like sing. That's what I love. I don't know if I've ever talked about this in a podcast before, but I love Elton John. And specifically, I think his music's great.
Yeah,
I had a closeted homosexual stepdad, so they're like my mom and my stepdad's first like romantic vacation was to come to Toronto to see Miss Saigon, the musical, and they saw Elton John, and I'm like, my mom got brought on the gayest trip I have ever heard of in my entire life with her, I think at the time, maybe new husband. But Elton John would always do this thing where he's like he's the gay that will be like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah, the Eminem thing.
Yeah, he's always kind of the cover for whatever. So in One in a Million, Axl has a line, but Axl's describing coming to Los Angeles from Indianapolis. Like it's supposed to be in the voice of like a young kid getting off the bus in LA. And the line, immigrants and faggots. Sorry. I don't understand. Immigrants and faggots make no sense to me. They come to our country and do as they please. It's very fun.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn, that's just a line you wrote in fucking 87. That was like, whatever. And people were mad about it a little bit, but anyways, that was all. I just remembered that song and it's sick.
On the way here,
Yeah.
literally driving on the way here, I was rapping along to a Nas song, just lightly. You know when you just kind of catch the last word, whatever. You're like, he goes, banana, and then you just end on the whatever. But I did get a whole line because I knew this one, and I
Why
forgot.
is, no matter what you're about to say, why is banana more racist than whatever it is that you
what I'm about to say is not racist. It's homophobic.
Got it.
I forgot that one line is
also
completely homophobic. And I just, windows down, yelled out faggot.
Yeah.
And right after I was like,
Yeah. Well, I called a guy. So, how much time do we have on?
No, we're good. We're at 35 minutes.
So,
We got plenty of time for your actual subject.
yeah. Well, so and I did have to yell homo at a couple people. I kept it to homo.
Okay, sure.
I don't know where homo rates at this point. I know it's unsavory, but I don't know that homo is a cancelable. Like I guess if you're running for mayor and you yell homo, you're out. Yeah. Or in, depending on where you're running. But like homo feels like it's.
I think it's similar to Jew in that how you say it and in what context can deem.
Well, sure. If you're going like no, there's almost something stranger if you're like, I love homos.
Yeah, but you're saying cancel. I don't think you would get canceled for saying that.
No, but if you said I hate homos.
That's what I'm saying is context and whatever matters with the word homo. Whereas like other words, context in terms of cancellation doesn't matter.
All right, I have a guest on and I'm like, what up, Jew?
Yeah, I think
versus what up, homo, if they were.
If he's a happy enough gay guy, if you started a podcast and said, "Hey, what up, homo?" but smiling,
yeah,
I think he might be like, "Well,
you might be all right." We might be. It's not so much the reaction of the particular Jew or homo. It's more about the
world out,
the world at large reacting to the Jew or homo.
Yeah, I just think it's possible. All I'm saying, why it's not fully cancelable, is I'm saying we're considering it's possible that you might skate on it.
Yeah.
And that's where I think you're right. I think it's skateable. I'm not saying everyone would, but it's.
And so I had full context to be able to. We had like the definitive defense if we needed it in the situation. So we last Sunday went to go see Viagra Boys. Great band. Really
sure.
fun.
Nice dicks.
Yeah, rock hard. Spelled slightly different, I believe, to avoid litigation.
Right. Gotcha. Spelt exactly like Cialis.
Yeah, but it's pronounced Viagra.
Yeah.
And they have the little TM. But they American guy that moved to Sweden, so they've got a bit of a European sensibility to them somewhat. But I feel like still couldn't be delivered by a fella that wasn't American. Like the particular sort of, I would describe it as like nihilism, like so, like kind of, it's fairly nihilistic. Like it's sort of scumbag give uppery, but like also like kind of being good. Like the one song's troglodyte, and the idea is like you're not an ape, you're a troglodyte. If you're like you're like even behind us, like we're still just apes, and it's like self-deprecating, but still going like you're even more retarded if that's what you think. So fine show, okay pit, everything was fine and whatever. I will say before I go on to slam a lot of them, history does have some pretty good upfront security guards.
Okay.
The people that like actually watch the stage. Because I don't want to, whatever. There's a big black guy that looks like Uncle Phil, and I've pointed him out at a couple concerts there that I'm particularly impressed with that security guard. Mm-hmm. Just so that I can say, like, like I calls them as I sees them when with some of this stuff. So the show was done. Lights were up. There was a long merch line. I was instructing nobody to shop in the merch line because all of your merch is now being designed by Live Nation. This shirt I'm wearing right now, by the way, is what you now get. This is I got this at a Value Village. This is the if you see the lack of tag in the back, and if you can, do you see the Rob Zombie that it just says there on the neck? When you get like a band T-shirt that no longer doesn't have a tag, it'll just say the artist's name, kind of in like a screen printed part.
Oh,
on
I
the
know what you're
back
talking
of,
about. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
That means what you're buying is shit. If it doesn't have a tag and it just has that, you're probably buying shit for the most part.
I buy those from a store by me called Maximum Deals.
You know what I mean? Yes,
They're
exactly.
$3 each.
Exactly. Then that's where you should get them and make them lovely cutters.
By the way, if you want to buy a Trippy Red shirt,
I use this.
Deals.
The Trippy Red. But like, I just want to point out, Live Nation does this shirt. This shirt is retarded. Like, it doesn't. You don't have to. It's this part.
Yeah.
It just says Dragula.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even make any fucking sense. And if it was like a weird bootleg, I'd be like, okay, some fucking Chinese guy made it and he doesn't know what Rob Zombie is, so he found a word and he put a word on the fucking thing. But this is like what they sold at a Rob Zombie show was this bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Like, this shirt's terrible. It's fine for a cutter, but like it's not a shirt you should be buying. Which I've said again is like, as a guy who likes a vintage shirt, who's someone who understands the vintage clothes market to some degree, we're not going to have that in the future. Because like I spent literally probably 20 minutes yesterday. We went to see Guns N' Roses as well yesterday at Rogers Stadium, which I'll also get into. But like, just standing outside where the merch is going, guys, don't buy this. Like, it's Guns N' Roses. You need Guns N' Roses merch? You know how many goddamn fucking Guns N' Roses shirts exist in the world? You're fine.
Yeah. If HMV was still around, you could easily find one.
Like, you have to understand, I buy almost anything Public Enemy that I find.
Yeah.
Like, I was at the fucking outlet mall 2 weeks ago. Lids had a Public Enemy hat. Bought it immediately. Not on sale. Not on whatever. It just said Public Enemy on a hat. It was officially branded. And I was like...
Is that the one you were wearing last week?
Probably, yeah.
It's a yellow Public
Yeah,
Enemy.
yeah.
Great hat. That's
like,
I saw it last week. I forgot to say something. I'm like, that's a fucking great hat.
Grabbed it immediately.
Yeah.
I bought no merch from this concert because it's going to be fucking terrible. As much as I love Public Enemy and as much as I rock Public Enemy stuff, I'd rather go find something else or go find a local screen printer. I'd rather go make my own Public Enemy shirt. And like, support these bootleggers because it doesn't... What Live Nation is taking, like, that argument has been eliminated. The argument of, oh, you're taking money out of the artist's pocket, that's gone now. Live Nation has completely eliminated that argument. They're not making anything off this shit. Like, and they might even actually, I bet you there's a lot of artists that would sit and look at you in the eyes and tell you they are, but because they don't look over their settlements. Like, if you looked over your settlements, man, you are making nothing off of this fucking merch. That's why they rolled it in. Like, Live Nation didn't roll the merch in as part of their deal because it's unprofitable and they just want to be your friend. They did it because they're going to make a shit ton of money off your merch now. Like, one of the things that made touring profitable, they're like, oh, and these guys don't have a choice. I'd be very surprised if outside of a few of these bands, they had any choice whatsoever in how to like do the merch. Now, if Guns N' Roses at 50,000 seats wanted to say, fuck you, they could, but they're also 60-year-old men who don't really probably give a fuck about the merch business very much at all. I mean, they license their shit out to Hot Topic and fucking Giant Tiger and whatever discount store they can. So H&M and whatever. So they're not going to go be protective of things. But I'm a little disappointed by Public Enemy. If I was Public Enemy, I'd be like, we have a strong merch representation. Our Supreme drop is still something that's traded at very high levels. Maybe we should just say, fuck this and not like just pull out on that. And I know they would lose money, but again, if they showed up to Paranoid screen printing in the city and went, hey, we're doing a cool, come the day of, and like come down to Paranoid day of and buy, or Paranoid should go, we're going to set up a thing right there. And like, we'll have a little pop-up in like across the street, go rent fucking space in a parking lot outside an LCBO down at the Wilson area near that stadium. and sell the T-shirts there and make an event out of it.
Yeah,
where it's like, hey, exclusive Paranoid, whatever, you know.
But do you think how many super famous, super successful, revolutionary artists are actually? Because it's funny this came up. I know this will be my last tangent, but I watched a video of like a little reel or whatever, and it was for Rage, who performed at SNL, I think it was, and they found out the guest or something like that was some political figure at that time. This was at their height or whatever. And to protest him, they performed with the American flag upside down, like bannered or something like that. And the video says like they were banned after this. They were never allowed to perform at SNL ever again, you know? And it was like whoever posted it intended for this to be like, fucking Rage was the fucking best, right?
Yeah.
And then all the comments were about the fact that they charge $300 a ticket now, and they're just part of the machine. They said, "Oh, the former against the machine is the machine now," or whatever.
But again, I've said this before, and God bless him. Matter of fact, let's even hit him with a little play here, because I really don't know much about him as an artist, but James Blake is like the only guy who actually...
You were going to say James Blunt. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah,
beautiful. Is that him? No, that's not him.
I don't even know who... Yeah, that's James Blunt. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
This is James Blake. I don't... Here, hold on. Let me...
I have to look this up.
I don't know. This has Travis... He seems to work with Travis Scott a lot.
English singer-songwriter.
He's like a singy guy, I'm assuming.
He's my age. Oh, he's a year older. And fuck him. Oh, he's dating Jamila Jamil. Okay.
There we go. A little James Blake for everybody. James Blake. The Cure also try very hard to fight Ticketmaster. But ultimately, what do they do? Right? Like... What is even Rage going to be able to do? They can't. Where are they going to perform? All the venues are owned by Live Nation.
Yeah, but it is. Your name is Rage Against the Machine.
But but ultimately, this is the situation. And first of all, let me just say, yes, our artists all suck. This is why, even though this is not a battle that Kanye has personally picked, Kanye Artist is one of the only artists like worth a damn in our fucking lifetime, because he actually has like done things to go make his own. Like his last two albums have been his most profitable albums because he cut out the machine. He self-released, which means he gets every aspect, every play. He gets 100% of the revenues from that play. He's not splitting a publishing with a company and a whatever. He like gets the money from that shit. So none of these artists do this shit. They all could. Guns N' Roses had 50,000 people in the stadium. It's a small town. Like, all they would have to do is go, hey, like, Turnstile is so close to doing it correctly. Turnstile is renting out Woodbine Park, and they're doing a 10,000 person general admission concert in a park because that's their vibe. Like, the vibe is not, hey, pay $400 to be up close, or you can sit in the back for $30. Their vibe is we're all the same. Now, they have to charge $150, which people are angry about. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, like, they don't really have a choice. They have to build their own fucking stage because no alternative stages exist. Like, these just aren't there. And the ones that do, usually because they're attached to some sort of, like, city grant money, and there's, like, some bullshit in the way of... There's like, a place here, the Barry Zuckerman Theater, that I think is, like, somewhat closer up in your neck of the woods.
Oh, okay.
But, like, try to get them to do something. Try to, like, it's so hard when there should be, like, a level of us going whatever. Like, the only artists you should care about, like, if you, let me say this, because it's impossible to go, the only artists you should care about should work outside the Live Nation thing. It's just impossible. Like, you won't get to enjoy music anymore, and that's not your responsibility, ultimately. This is not all individually our responsibilities to do something about. But you should strongly encourage your favorite artists to try to get away from Live Nation the best that they can. And it's not even a hard argument because it fucks them too. and like something bad's going to happen at these Live Nation venues. They got these security kids that, and again, I will point out that a lot of them happen to be Indian kids in these situations.
Yeah.
And I am not saying that as an Indian kids are inferior or inherently are at risk because they're different than me. The point is they don't give a fuck about the experience in the same way. Like they don't grow up in the same concert culture, which means you don't really know the same warning signs to things. You don't really have to take the same thing serious. And you also didn't go through like the same moments. You know, a lot of people came here after 2014. Mm-hmm. And 2014 is where we had the Me Too movement. And we learned, and concert goers had to rectify with a lot of things with that. Like, you know, Me Too in whatever form, in wrestling, they were speaking out, and every industry had its own form of how they had to grapple with that. And concerts were no different. For years, people looked at girls crowd surfing as basically free range. You know, like grab a titty, grab a whatever. And I don't agree with that, obviously. I do think in the pit, things are more complicated. I think the thing with when Me Too was going on with all these things is that they made everything so, I don't want to say needlessly complicated, because it's not that the things were complicated. It's that they lacked nuance. And so it created this idea that it just anything was an excuse to rage out. So if you crowd surf and your ass is touched, there is a distinction between a guy going, I'm going to go cop a feel right now, and sometimes your ass is kind of the only place to save your fucking neck from being broken because you're about to fall down. So like, and I think what we needed to do was get to this nuance with each other. Truly what we need, and this is kind of my overall point with the two things I kind of want to wrap in together with this, is human experiences, concerts and sporting events have become luxury goods that are sort of trivialized for poor people, when in reality, who is bread and circus for, right? The term bread and circus, that's supposed to be to pacify the masses. Well, you're now creating a situation where the masses no longer have access to their bread and circus anymore. You're making these luxury goods that can only be afforded by the people who have the money that you don't have to pacify, ultimately. Like, if you want a bunch of people to not give a shit about their living conditions for a month, let them make the NBA Finals. Like, let them get to a Super Bowl. Give them a Bruce Springsteen concert. Give them a Neil Young concert. Give them some Gaga. Give them that little bit of what they need. That will pacify the people for a bit. That's very useful for you. But at the same time, what it does is it gets us together, right? It gets 50,000 people at Guns N' Roses into one stadium, all sharing an experience. And a lot of us have lost the script on what we believe from when we found these bands, right? Like when I was a kid and I listened to Civil War, like that actually kind of put me on a bit of a path to some degree. It was a very inarticulate version of that path, but there's a path nonetheless. Like it's the same way when you discover stand-up comedy, things that maybe when you were younger you found funny, but you didn't really fully understand the context, but you sort of understood. The Simpsons was great for this, where there's the revolving door on the prison, and it's just this little bit that, like, as a kid, I didn't really fully understand what that meant.
Yeah.
But I kind of like got it, and now I fully understand it. And those things, whatever. And a lot of people, that's where they are. Most people, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I just have a lot of spare time. Most people don't need to know as many of these fucking things as I know. Like, it's a kind of a giant waste of time, ultimately, in the lack of impact you have. People have other things to worry about. They're not doing a podcast on the news. So, you know, getting together and singing Civil War with each other, or, you know, I used to love her, but I had to kill her. Like, these are things that we can share together with each other. And those human experiences, like, I walked by the Sky Dome on Tuesday we went kayaking. And there was an Indian family, that, you know, young kids, you could tell were fairly, maybe not, or like a Muslim. They had like almost like they had a Jew cap on, but they were clearly not that.
Yeah.
But whatever they were, ethnically, culturally, religiously, very different than what you'd expect. That they were down there showing their kids the Joe Carter home run, and I could see he like pulled up the home run on his phone and was explaining to his kid what it was, and he went around and they have all the names from that team on the thing, and he was saying like, that's that one, and he did, and I was like, oh man, this would blow a conservative's mind. Like, this is a guy here going, okay, I'm going to teach my kids something cultural about Toronto.
Yeah.
Like, this is a big moment in history here, and this is a way that, like, especially with this immigration and shit, like, I'm going to go back around and say my concern about the brown kids being the security all the time, but, like, these events, something like Guns N' Roses that's so big and empty, a kid from India that came here, 5 years ago might still know who Guns N' Roses are. That might be his first concert. That might be the first time he's surrounded by 45,000 white people, and then maybe the 5,000 people of color that might have been there if I had to guess proportions off the top of my head. So, like, that's a very important cultural experience. You sit next to a person and you sing a fucking song together, and maybe you have a joint, and they haven't smoked a joint, and you smoke a joint with them. Those things help. A sports team like the Blue Jays, you go to a fucking Blue Jays game and you're not really part of this culture yet, but here we are, a stadium full of people, and we're all in one direction with things. Those things are very important towards integrating, and like, you don't have to give up your culture, but it is nice to then feel part of ours through these little things. And so the destruction of these things is not trivial. Ultimately, the stripping this away is like, they aren't luxury goods. They're very, very important things, because and again, I like to make the appeal to both sides. The elites, like, you need this. This is a release valve. And now when all these people at the lowest level don't have that release valve anymore, guess what? They're at home, online, venting their frustrations out in increasingly toxic ways. I'll tell you, man, if I'm in a shitty mood and I happen to get a good nu metal concert or something I can pit kind of good in at the right time, that'll save a fist fight in whatever, like, I have this problem where, like, every, like, 4 or 5 years, like, a stopwatch just goes off and I end up in a fist fight.
Oh, okay.
And, like, some whatever. And it's always for a very righteous reason. I've never, like, I don't look back on many of the altercations I've ever gone in and gone, like, I was clearly in the wrong on that one. Like, I tend to always...
I know what you mean.
But you're always sort of in the wrong
yeah.
regardless, like, I felt righteous in my motivation, but maybe my actions weren't the purest. So go to a pit, jump around, like, and by the way, what's beautiful about a mosh pit that people that don't do it don't understand, the part that is lovely, and I will get back to Viagra Boys because it was a fairly moshy concert, is somebody the watching somebody fall down and how many people go to help them up is actually a very beautiful experience. Jumping around and having a good time and all of that is very fun, but there is something very beautiful about the feeling of a pit that, like, people care for each other. Now, I was very on mushrooms for Viagra Boys. I've taken mushrooms are kind of the best concert drug. First of all, you're there for art. You're supposed to feel. So, like, do something that makes you feel. People that want to do blow at a concert, you're an animal. Like, if your instinct is to do coke at a concert, you're trying not to connect.
I guess it depends on the concert.
Nah, you think you're the concert. People who do blow at a concert think they're the concert. Like, they're there to be there.
Yeah.
Like, that's what that type of person is. A person who does mushrooms when they go to a concert, that's a person going, I'm here to pay respect to the art that you are delivering to me. Like, I have took something to connect to you on a higher level because I appreciate what you do. Now, I'm not saying there isn't concerts that you should. Now, I did mushrooms at Motley. I just don't really like blow that much, anyways. But Motley Crue would have been a fine concert to do blow at.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
But not because it's the right thing. Listen, if you love Motley Crue, you should. Don't do blow. You're not going to connect with what's going on. You're going to exist in yourself if you do coke. That's not what you should be at a concert for. I get it if it's like, hey, that's fun and I'm hot and I'm just kind of here to be or like you're trying to get pussy or you're trying to get dick or you're, whatever it is. But like, mushrooms should be for concerts. Connect on the fucking level. Immerse yourself to some degree.
I thought Molly was the one. I've done
Molly
neither.
is a connection. I almost think to the energy. That's somewhere in between.
Oh, okay.
I feel like Molly allows you to tap into like you're not necessarily Molly's not a bad drug for a concert, but Molly is more like, oh, we're in a thing and I feel it, but it's not like, oh man, when you wrote that line, like I feel like when I watched Jack White being on enough mushrooms for Jack White and knowing that he got divorced that week, I think that was very a big part of my in-tuneness to going, oof, he's like a little feeling it, you know, like he's not in his.
I understand.
Yeah. So
I get what you mean.
So Viagra Boys trying to have a connected moment, and it's also a band that like, and this is me being a dork and a mark for art and whatever, and I kind of felt silly about it after all the events, but I look at them as a level of sort of like I connect to them almost on a to put it in the worst way possible, a brand image, like sort of a highbrow scumbag, if that makes sense, like sort of fairly intellectual ideas being presented in very unintellectual seeming ways. So like, you know, songs that say a lot, but if you're dumb, you just think he's saying wiener dog and you don't really understand kind of the point of it. It can come off sort of butthole surfers or like, I think like Dire Straits personally, but so having a good time, connecting to the concert is done. And, we like to hang out. Like I'm not a guy, like we don't rush out of concerts when we can. We like to meet people. A lot of times too, like friendly. Now that we have the venue, there were like a few people who came up and they're like, you're the Catacombs people.
Oh,
whatever.
okay, that's
yeah,
cool.
like it's starting like in our little world, that's starting to happen like a decent amount now. So like there was some of that, and we were talking to, I'm telling there's a guy in a wheelchair, and I was explaining to him not to buy the Live Nation merch. And as we were talking to him, Kennedy's standing there. Now, lights are up. It's a merch line, like, at this point, but everything else, like, even the floor is being emptied. Mm-hmm. And this girl comes by, real ugly, on top of it, by the way.
Sure.
There by herself, as far as we can tell. And like,
well, she's an ugly woman.
Yeah, and some form of LGBT, presenting.
Sure,
I will say, not going to go as far as to say they're a trans person. Like I don't think
maybe
that's
non-binary. Perhaps
their dress and actions kind of tell me that that's probably where it is, and I don't just mean what they do, but sort of what they're. Unspoken justification for her actions were. So she comes by and basically just grabs Kennedy by the like kind of under ass, like just gives her what Donald Trump would describe as grabbing her by the pussy.
Yeah.
And so like just kind of like unprovoked. We haven't made eye contact with this girl. We haven't spoke to this girl. We don't know who this girl is. Comes up and gives Kennedy a little whoop-a-doo, you know, and.
Terrible.
And also, but ultimately Kennedy is an adult and she is fine, and like she doesn't necessarily feel in danger. I'm with her. It's uncomfortable, and I'm probably even doing something and saying all of that I shouldn't, and I'm more almost speaking on her behalf in a way because she doesn't want to feel like she's overdoing it with it, and I appreciate that. I think it's a very empathetic, wise thing to not overblow something like that and start throwing around terms that might then later trivialize like real people, like something more serious down the line. But it also just can't go like you also just can't let that happen again, because if we get, and it doesn't matter, it's a girl. This is my first problem with the entire situation is, so she does it, and I look at her, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Mm-hmm. And she gives like a whatever, and I was like, "I don't fucking care. You're a girl. Like you don't touch like other adults on their fucking privates that you don't know and just go what? Like what are you fucking crazy? Like but it is the response is I'm a
yeah,
girl, right? Like, hey, why can't I'm just a girl though. Like that's the response in her, like that, like why would this be harmful? Go ahead.
Well, I'm such a piece of shit that you texted me about this a little bit or whatever, and then I was like, oh yeah, I've seen hot girls like be touchy with other girls, and they probably thought it'd be cool. I'm such a piece of shit that for some reason now that I know it was an ugly girl who was.
It does make it a little more.
It bothers me. I'm like, that is. It
does
wrong.
come off more presumptuous for sure because she's ugly. Like there is a level of there's no camaraderie here. Don't do that.
Yeah.
We're not like doing this. But like regardless, you should also like.
It made me think when I found out it was an ugly girl, I thought, oh, that is a predator. Because hot girls aren't predators, but an ugly girl is a predator.
Well, and a hot girl will know to go. Like, listen, Kennedy gets it's. Almost hurts my feelings at a certain point.
The attention,
the level of like compliments, and it's not like all dudes all day. It's mostly women. Like dudes aren't gonna like go out and do that because I'm standing next door and I'm fairly scary. So like, but women all day feel very open about giving her lavishing compliments.
Right, but you have to think
that's fine.
At opposite, just like you just said, a dude is not going to because I'm there. A girl who does think you're attractive is, if she's respectful enough, she's not going to say that in front of Kennedy. You know?
Sure, yeah, same thing. So like, but women are very open to where I'm like, it was very nice yesterday at Guns N' Roses. I think because they were old, they felt a need to then also compliment me after. I remember there was a very specific woman who came up. She like ran over to Kennedy and was just like, we're over there and we just wanted to tell you how gorgeous you are. And by the way, you're also very good looking. We just wanted to whatever. And I was like, thank you at least for fucking like, thank you. I don't need to pretend like I'm as hot as my girlfriend is.
It's okay. Like, I'm Steph Curry's brother.
I'm a more of a personality fella. But so anyways, so like incident happens. I kind of dress her down and just that like, you don't do that. That's not okay. And just because you're a girl, you can't grab strangers wherever you want because, like, you think girl power. So she kind of looks confused and walks away. And so we go on, I think Kennedy goes to the bathroom and, like, some moments pass before we leave. And as we're leaving, the girl is just standing with security at the door. Like, I think she's finishing a water or something. She had she was also a girl by herself, so she's trying to linger and fucking... like clam on to whatever she can do.
Clam.
Like a suction cup. And and so the moment would have passed and we would have moved right on from it had she not just been standing at the door when we went to go leave at that point. So I go over and I tell the security, I was like, hey, this girl just grabbed my girl by her fucking ass and whatever. I was like, can you tell her to fucking beat it, please? Like, she shouldn't be. I was like, if it was a dude, you know what I mean? Like doing the same shit, you yank her the fuck out of here. So you can please just like whatever. And then there was a blonde Indian guy who kind of laughed it off. And then like super tall black guy who like, they kind of like hung out with her for a while, which after I had said like she just grabbed my girlfriend, they like hung out with her for a while after, which started getting me a little bit more where I'm like, yo, you gotta listen to that. Like you can't just hear that and go, no big deal. You gotta react. So now this is the escalation ladder of the entire event. Again, would have been something that we overlooked had it just been that thing. But then now she's lingering by the door. So I feel compelled to say something. Now I do say something and it's kind of laughed off. So now I'm at a whole other level. So now I'm going to find another, like more, who can I find that looks more official? Because now I'm going, I just told these two that this girl just groped my girlfriend and now they're laughing about. So I was like, one of you got to motherfucking do something. Mm-hmm. I was like, this ain't acceptable. I was like, again, reiterate, we're fine, but like, at what point do you guys like? What needs to happen for you guys to take it serious? To whatever. It's like if this was a dude, if she was by herself, if anything was different about this, like if Kennedy was by herself, if anything was different about this is like a problem. Like, and if that's the reaction that you have, you're putting people in danger. So again, escalating the ladder of things. So we're outside now, and like I'm into it with him because I'm telling him like, I was like, imagine how's your like, because the super tall black guy is outside now and whatever. By the way, I will say I do love bringing God into situations, even though I don't believe in him.
Yeah.
When I know somebody else is going to believe in God, I love using that against them in a thing. Because the black guy was still kind of laughing it all off. And I was like, I was like, what if it's your chick? And it didn't really, it was like, what if, I was like, you got to go to bed tonight and God watches you. And that's when like his demeanor changed. And I was like, can always get the fucking tall black guy with a God reference. That's how you fucking get him. So like escalated to whatever. We ended up filing a report and like we had to go to a thing again today, not to charge the girl. And like obviously it's not like, hey, you got to find this girl who's grabbing ass. She's free to go. I hope she sees this and finds out how ugly she is. But like past that like this is the punishment for her crime. Like, but we wanted to because it's like things need to be filed against the venue at this point. Like this is what the Me Too thing was not saying something about that. Yeah, no, something needs to be like somebody official needs to go to that girl and say, you stop doing that. We don't need to put her in jail. We don't even need her banned from the venue. We don't need any of those things. We need an adult of authority to have to talk down to a grown-up and say, you don't touch people's privates. And like she should be brought into a room. It should be scary enough. You don't touch balls. Toronto Variety Show. Check it out every Thursday. We're gonna wrap up soon. I'm going a little long here, but somebody needs to. We have to bring her into a room and dress her down and go, do you get how you don't touch people's private parts unless you're asking them, right? And like let her feel like a fucking idiot and a creep and then go home that night going, I'm a fucking idiot and a creep. But if I do it, it doesn't lead, it's not doing, and I'm going to do it every time, but it doesn't do the same as if they do something. If somebody official in a fucking shirt says, hey, we got to talk to you for a second, you can't do that anymore. The problem is that the venue will never do that because then later if that person gets in trouble, there is proof that they talked to them about this thing and they don't want to go, oh, well, I don't know. That is technically a sexual assault. So we don't want to find out that someone sexually assaulted someone and then let them go. So what we'll do instead is we'll ignore the situation completely. So what the security did was tell us that they were calling the cops, which they were not. They just lied to us and then they locked the door. Now again, yes, is the girl with her boyfriend? Fine. But they have just kicked out the person that we're going. And again, I'll use the term sexual assault because as much as it might be trivialized in this situation by the technical definition, that is what's going on. Nobody needs her charged with that. Nobody needs her tarred and feathered. But ultimately, if she decides differently, that's what that is, right? Like if that's the word she wants to use, there's nothing legally dubious about describing it that way because you just touched a stranger's privates without asking them. So like, and we got to be very careful about letting things slide in a way. We need a nuanced approach to it. I think we handled it the best we possibly could. We filed a report to just go, listen, we're more filing this on the venue than we are on the person. The venue didn't do fuck all about it. And I would imagine that is a reoccurring problem at that venue and many other venues in the city. And I will call Live Nation out by name. Now, is the security company at these venues Live Nation? No, it's not. They are subcontracted out. But that doesn't mean that Live Nation is off the hook for any of these things because that's a very strategic strategy that Live Nation is doing. It keeps the left hand clean of what the right hand is doing, right? The reason you don't... Now, what would make more sense? Do you think it would be more cost effective if Live Nation directly paid these, what are probably minimum wage security guards, if we're being honest about it, right? Aside from a handful, maybe the guys closer to the stage make a little more money, whatever it is. This is probably a fairly minimum wage to just above minimum wage job, right? Now, Live Nation could pay whatever amount of those they legally through insurance have determined they need to have, or they can subcontract it out. I promise you, if you look at Live Nation's books, what they pay per guard is far greater than what they would have to pay if they just paid the guards themselves. So you might be asking yourself, well, why would you complain about that? Live Nation's actually coming out of pocket greater for their guards than they have to. Well, the reason is because they want those brown kids to be the ones that go down, because they know that they don't have things tight enough. They know that, like, I could bring in anything to these venues. I'm telling you, I could bring in anything to these venues. No one is stopping a gun from getting into these venues. Mm-hmm. I would feel so disturbingly comfortable bringing a fucking sometimes we sit in the lawn, we bring a blanket. I mean, the things I could bring in that blanket without being checked are fucking incredible. Like, they need to be audited for this. I'm not going to be the guy who brings a gun into the RBC to prove I can, because I don't have one. And I'm not going to pay for one to prove a point that's going to get me maybe put in jail. But I bet you, like, if you brought 10 guns into the RBC amphitheater, you're getting at least 3 of them through. And maybe people can go, oh, that's 70% of them you're not going to get through. But that means 3 of them are getting through. And, like, it has to be, like, because, again, then when people don't feel safe, and maybe that's what we need ultimately. Maybe we need a terror attack at a concert so prices go back down. I mean, maybe what I'm complaining about is the wrong thing to say. Putting 50,000 people, and I wanted to get to DraftKings, but we'll do that next week too, because it's because DraftKings is also ruining sports. Because ultimately, we have to stop pretending that sports aren't fake. And it sucks to say, I've enjoyed sports my entire lifetime. DraftKings, the fact that an athlete can take an endorsement deal from a betting company is so fucking backwards and broken. And you should not support any athlete. You shouldn't support anybody who's taking a paycheck from any of these companies. Again, and I have friends that are Schultz scumbag for it. You shouldn't be doing it. If the Sackler family came to you and said, we would like to advertise OxyContin on your podcast, you would say no. You are advertising OxyContin on your podcast. Athletes, you are signing up to be the face of OxyContin. You have to understand that. Sports are fucking fake and rigged, and I will find a bunch of video for next week to do that. We'll do a special Rob Loves Arguing Basketball where I can show you minutes and minutes and minutes of fourth quarters of NBA games where you can intrinsically see that things are being rigged. Not, I love the Raptors and the Raptors lost and I'm pissed. Yeah. Like, guys not hitting the over and actively, like, being disappointed, and you know they've gambled on the fucking game. Or someone, it's ruining sports. The show is too far along, and I do too many episodes on this anyway, so we'll wrap it up here for today. Goodbye.